voice. I kind of just ignore his character and kind of just wing it every time he starts to talk. Okay, sorry. You need to learn your place, boy, he murmurs. The socialist class stands as follows. At the top, we have... Sorry, I thought I wasn't recording. We have pure-blood witches and wizards. Below them are the blood traders, scum such as yourself, who do not know where their loyalties lie. Below them lies the useless muggles, and below them lie the mudbloods, abominations such as your friend over there. He moves his gaze over to me, and for a second, before he moves back onto Ron, the natural order of wizarding society dictates that the pair of you are below us in every way. Therefore, it is only right that you should serve us. Without looking away from Ron, Avery turns his wand to me. Now I know you cannot be harmed, boy. I just said that so much louder, and it's like he said quietly. Whoops. But your friend can. Isn't that right? Or is it your notion that you are somehow entitled to personal freedom, stronger than your love for her? Bellatrix lets out a crow of triumphant laughter as Ron's face goes slightly green with fear. No, he stammers. Don't. Well then. Avery finishes smoothly. Please continue with your task as instructed. He flicks his wand. He flicks his wand. Actually, I said it completely correct. He flicks his wand for the third time at the table in front of him, and another large jug of wine, identical to the one Ron just destroyed, appears in front of him. Ron presses his lips together for a moment before he picks up the jug and goes back to his task, filling Avery's goblet silently. I look at Avery for a second as he sits down and goes back to his conversation with Bellatrix. He frightens me. It's no wonder Lucius said he was a good friend of his. The two are so similar, really. But not, somehow. At least I know Lucius, and what to expect from him. I don't look up as I turn around, moving to the next goblet after Narcissa's. Lucius's goblet. Your friend seems to be somewhat abashed, Mudblood, he murmurs, but I don't look up at him. Perhaps he might yet learn his place as you have. My cheeks burn, but I don't look at him. I can feel his eyes on me, burning into me. The jug shakes in my grasp, but somehow, miraculously, the wine pours cleanly into the goblet. My heart beats furiously against my ribs, bruising them, breaking them. I chance to look up just for a second. His cold eyes rest on mine. He reaches forward to take hold of his goblet, and as he does, his hand brushes against mine, just for a second. The touch of it sends an electric shock through me, and before I know what I've done, I step forward and the wine jug slips from my grasp and falls to the ground, smashing to the floor. Silence falls over the room. Everyone's staring at me. Ron looks absolutely terrified on my behalf. I turn back to Lucius, shaking with fear. His expression is hard. Good God! We'll have no jugs left by the time the evening's through! Bellatrix starts but trails off as Lucius stands up and walks around the table, gripping me by the arm when he reaches me. Don't worry yourself, he says with the rest of the... Don't worry yourself, he says to the rest of the room. The muggle is incapable of carrying out the simplest of tasks unaided, including, it seems, pouring a goblet of wine. A ripple of laughter runs through the dinner guests as Lucius drags me over to a dark corner. He sits me down on the bench against the wall. It's so dark over here I can't see his expression as he looks at me. Now, I want you to stay here and try not to make a fool out of yourself again. He pauses. Can you do that for me? I look up at him, not really knowing what to say, so I just nod. He looks down at me for a second before he turns and walks back over to the table, flicking his wand, the mess I've created, vanishing it. He sits himself down and turns to his wife, rejoining his conversation with her. I can hardly bear to look at them. They're just so perfect in their icy similarities. You couldn't find two people more compatible in every way. I just mucked things up, really. He might have cheated on her with Bellatrix, but she seems oblivious enough to it. They seem happy, I suppose, in their own way. I don't get it. What's going on between Lucius and me? He's content enough in his marriage and hates me so much he can barely bear to touch me. I don't understand. I've never understood anything anymore. I can never understand anything anymore. I'm so sick of it all. Well, at least I'm hidden in shadow. And even if I wasn't hidden, no one would be taking any notice of me anyways. I can watch them all I want, and no one can see me do it. I look down at the wine. Who would know if I just had a little sip? Perhaps it'll numb the pain? Isn't that why alcoholics drink? Cautiously, unseen by anyone, I lift the cup. This is so awesome! Is anybody excited for drunk Hermione at a party filled with Death Eaters? This is the best idea for a book. Okay, I'm sorry. This is like seriously an awesome chapter. Like, right from right now, just onward, dude. Just fucking onward. And before. Okay, I'm done. I'm so sorry. Cautiously, unseen by anyone, I lift the jug to my mouth and start to gulp down the rich, sharp liquid. Wine! Bellatrix calls out, slurring slightly. Slurring slightly. I'm drunk, Hermione, now. Damn you, you lazy little mudblood, where are you? Yes, it's my turn. Ron's been sent through to the adjoining room to fetch their dessert, so it's only me that can do it. Perhaps I shouldn't have had anything to drink, but it's all right. They'll never know. The wine jug's still full to the brim. God, how much have I drunk? I stumble slightly as I stand up, spilling some wine on the floor. It's all right. The jug refills itself. Good. They'll never know. As long as I just walk straight and act normal, things will be fine. Absolutely fine. Perhaps I'll get away with it. But I've got to admit, things would be a lot better if the room would stop spinning around me. Right. One foot in front of the other. Left. And then right. And then left. That's it. Okay. I got it. I walk back out into the room, moving slowly but steadily. Yes. Steadily over to the table. Bellatrix is talking loudly to Avery. I look at Lucius. He's looking distinctly bored, and he rolls his eyes at what she's saying. I pause, standing in front of the table, waiting to see who wants wine and who doesn't, but no one seems to be paying any attention. So you see, it makes more sense not to focus on the important important muggles, but to concentrate on removing every last one of them from the entire face of the earth. Bellatrix is smiling, her breath coming shortly as she speaks. It's the only way, to be sure. A victory. I hear what you're saying, Bella. Bella. Avery interrupts quietly, and I agree that all mudblood should certainly be disposed of. But surely we should be able to keep some muggles alive. After all, what is the use of C's power if we have no one to rule over? I quite agree, Avery, Narcissa adds in a clear voice. Bellatrix's cheeks pinprick with red. Well, Lucius agrees with me, I'm sure. She turns to him. Don't you think, Lucius, that I am right in this matter? Lucius looks at her as if he's never seen her before. He's looking at her like she's a frivolous item he bought for a money he lost for a lot of money on a whim before he discovered it to be valueless. Not worth his trouble, he has gone for it. Oh, that's so symbolic, right? Prostitute. Just kidding, she's not a prostitute, she's just a dirty whore. There's a difference. She didn't even get fucking paid because she's dumb. Okay, anyways. His gaze flickers. She just does it for free because she's a whore. Alright, I'm done. His gaze flickers between Bellatrix, Narcissa, and me for a split second before he answers the question. I agree that a great deal of them should be just wiped out in order to bring down their numbers, he says smoothly. But to remove all of them would be foolishness, when they could be used for the most effective slaves. Society is based on rule and control above all else, after all. Bellatrix's face loses all of its color. Fine, she says loudly. Fine, I don't need your approval. The Dark Lord shall listen to my plans, and he shall put them into action, I am sure. For he knows that I am the most loyal of his loyal. I am his most loyal, his most faithful, his most intelligent. Tell me, Bella. Lucius interrupts her, his voice laden with lazy malice. Is your arrogance a trait you have possessed since birth, or has it been honed and perfected over time? For I am inclined to believe it is a combination of both. I start to laugh then. I can't help it, but for some reason an unwilling giggle bursts out of me, but as it does, the wine jug slips from my grasp once again and falls crashing down on the floor. Wine spreads out along the broken bits of the jug, running around my bare feet, staining the bottom of my robes. God, can't I do anything right? This is the second bloody jug I've destroyed this evening. Or is it the third? I look out into the room, horrified, everyone staring at me in complete silence. Bellatrix looks enraged, but everyone else merely looks bemused. Even Lucius looks as if a smile is tempting his lips. How dare you! Bellatrix says, how dare you, you filthy little mudblood! You shame us before your guests by behaving so... Bella, calm down, Narcissa says smoothly, smiling at me patronizingly. The girl's drunk. It's obvious. She means no harm, I'm sure. No harm! No harm! Bellatrix stands up from her chair, shaking with feeling. She's stolen our wine, the little thief! I'll show her display such audacity. You will do no such thing. Lucius says firmly. Bellatrix turns to him furiously, as if she's about to say something to him, but the sight of Narcissa keeps her quiet. She shuts her mouth like a trap, and sits back in her chair like a child in a strop, excuse me. Lucius nods, and turns to Draco, who's smiling widely at my misfortune. Draco, take the mudblood up to her room. She's obviously in no fit state to serve anyone. Draco stares at Lucius. Me, father? Lucius rolls his eyes. Yes, you. Here. He hands him the transportation key. Draco takes it eagerly and gets up from the table, walking over to me. He grabs me by the arm and holds the key aloft. The west bedroom. And I'm pressed into the horrible airless void of transportation. Oh no, I think I'm gonna be sick. As we're emerged from my room, all balance goes for some reason, and I don't know why, but the room is spinning around me, and I stumble and fall on my knees. I hear a snort of laughter as I look up to see Draco's sneering face swimming at me. The room spins behind him. You're pathetic, Granger. You're pathetic, Granger. I cannot do his voice. He drawls contemptuously. You're just like a child. This next line. Okay, I push away from him on the floor and I sit up, staring at him. I'm not a child anymore, Draco. I whisper, your father's seen to that. Draco stares at me for a few moments, his eyes widen. What's that supposed to mean? I fall silent. I should tell him I don't mean what he thinks I mean, but right now I don't care. He can think what he likes, can he? What does it matter? Besides, it's not as if his assumption is so far from the truth, really.